All right, how y'all doing? I want to touch on this because a lot of times we see things as entertainment, and a lot of times entertainment can be propaganda that's disguised as a fun package, something to enjoy, but you don't realize that you're being programmed. So I was thinking back into the 80s and early 90s on some of the TV shows that we used to watch, some of the cartoons, some of the sitcoms, um, and just thought, what could they possibly have meant? So we know that on one end of the spectrum, it was for entertainment. You know, you grab your remote control and you just go through and you just relax, you have fun. And it is what it is. Some of these were our favorite shows. But then the what if factor. What if somebody else that's watching this program, what if they're taking away a different message? So let's go through this real quick. We have Doogie Howser, MD, right? So to us, that seems fine and dandy. This is this young white male who seems to know everything. He's so smart, naturally talented, naturally gifted, that he's so smart that, you know, he's able to be a doctor, you know, as a teenager, a medical doctor, right? So it sounds good, sounds like, oh, you know, this is like a boy genius, X, Y, and Z, good show, fine. That is the entertainment side. But propaganda side, what message could somebody else possibly be getting? So for young white males and also for society, it paints the picture of what if. What if there's these, you know, naturally gifted young white boys, that this is just something natural for them. Whereas young black males are dysfunctional. We don't have the academic or scholastic prowess to perform on a level in which we could somehow achieve a MD and practice as a teenager. But see, this is a possibility for young white males, young white boys, young white male teenagers. It puts that face on this scholastic academic excellence. It puts a white male face on this, a young white male. So you can see that what would be considered excellence, you now have a picture of it, and that picture is represented with a young white male face, right? Not a young black male, not a young black woman, not a young Latino, not an Asian. You know, this is what it is. Not a Native American or indigenous tribe person. So this is what we see, right? So once again, balancing the entertainment with that what if factor. So that was Doogie Howser, MD. The other thing, Silver Spoons with Ricky, seemed very good. It was kind of like, you know, it was almost like that, the dream, ideal dream, domestic situation kind of. Silver Spoons, you had this very wealthy white father who was trying to reconnect with his son. I guess he was so busy in his business matters that somehow he kind of didn't have enough time to spend with his son when he was growing up. And so now he's there, and he's worth these multiple millions of dollars. He has this mansion in the suburbs, and it's almost like a toy kingdom inside. And his son Ricky is just, he has like a train he can ride throughout the house, all things at his disposal, and basically he can have anything and everything that he wants. And this is not the case. We know about the racial wealth gap in America. We know about poverty, the history of poverty, and the racial causes behind poverty through, bad real estate deals and all things like that. But once again, it's the concept. Okay, it's entertainment, but on the other hand, what message or how is somebody processing this? On the other hand, they may not be looking at it as entertainment. They may be looking at it as, oh, this is speaking to me. As a young white male, I should have these things afforded to me. I should have this luxury life. I should have this posh lifestyle. I should have this. My daddy is a millionaire. My daddy is this and does this. This entitlement belongs to me, should be bestowed to me, should be bequeathed to me, right? So these are the messages that's coming, but you don't have that for Black Americans, right? We had the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, but that was something different too. We could speak on that. So that was Silver Spoons. Saved by the Bell was Zach Morris, and Parker Lewis Can't Lose. What did those two TV shows put in the minds? We had the entertainment side. Oh, this is fun. These high school guys, they're having fun. They're doing whatever they want to do, kind of ha ha ha. But then it's, okay, what is the message or the alternative message? Is it possible that young white boys, young white males of high school age feel or should be entitled and privileged to do what they want to do? I can get away with anything. The world is my oyster. Whatever the situation is, I can manipulate it to my favor. No, the word no doesn't exist to me. There's always a way to circumvent the word no. And that's kind of what Saved by the Bell was. You had Mr. Belding, who's the principal, who's always trying to chastise Zach. Zach always was somehow able to kind of wiggle his way out of it, circumnavigate that. And even if he was punished, his punishment was he was able to enjoy the punishment. He could kind of, if he's in detention, he's kicked back, his hands up, feet up on the desk, and, thinking of how he can get with Kelly Kapowski. This whole ideal of I don't have to be accountable and I can always get things to go in my favor. It's almost like the Ferris Bueller type of mentality. Remember Ferris Bueller, the movie? I'm a young white male in America and everything must bend towards me. That's the message. If we were to go into cartoons, the cartoon approach would be equivalent to Dennis the Menace. We used to watch Dennis the Menace. And Dennis the Menace could go around and wreak so much havoc and turmoil, do reckless damages to property, and get into so much mischief and behave with so much misconduct. But if you ever notice, Dennis the Menace never was really held accountable. Dennis the Menace never really understood punishment, the severity of punishment. He never really understood punitive justice. See, so this is one of those things where he could, blow up a basement by accident, or because he's experimenting with something, he could blow up a basement, blow up a building or something, set a house on fire, let dogs out, dangerous dogs out of a yard to roam through a community. He can bite a person. So many different things. And the most Dennis got was his mother dragging him by his ear, mumbling underneath her breath, and shaking her finger in his face. Didn't mean anything to Dennis, because he'd be right back upstairs in his room plotting his next scheme. And so when we talk about no accountability, no responsibility, you now look at what we see in today's society manifested. There are, I'm not saying all, but there is a significant statistical faction of white males that just do what they want. And there's very little repercussions to what they do. A perfect example was the, who was it, Stanford, I believe, the swimmer. What was the swimmer's name? He raped the girl by the dumpster. And he didn't do jail time. He didn't do any years. I think he did maybe 6 or 4 months of served time. And they said, well, he has so much to risk. And so, we don't think he would fare well in jail. And, this is such a risk for his opportunity. And so after 4 or 6 months, he's released from jail. And the average person, we have this young black male, I forget his name, he kissed a white girl and is doing 12 years in jail. Whereas you have this white male that raped this white girl by a dumpster in an alleyway. He does 4 to 6 months in jail, and he just has a community service where he goes around talking about sexual assault. We have the, was it Ethan? Oh, I forget his name. But you had the young white male who was driving drunk and crashed his car. And, he killed his friends. I think it was like 3 or 4 friends that he killed. And they said, well, because he comes from a wealthy family, an affluent family, he wouldn't fare well in jail. And we kind of have to deal with this with, light touches. And so they were able to say that he was suffering from affluenza. And so he does not ever have to experience the harshness and the punitive justice of prison, whereas the average person would. So this is what I'm saying. This is the manifestation of the Dennis the Menace, the Saved by the Bell, the Parker Lewis can't lose mentality, right? And so young white males can not look at it as entertainment, but look at it as like, I'm supposed to be vindicated of, I'm not supposed to be found guilty. What are you talking about? I am Zach Morris. I am Parker Lewis. I am Dennis the Menace. I'm supposed to be entitled to this treatment. What are you talking about? All right. So programming. The Andy Griffith Show. You think of the Andy Griffith Show, and one thing is, it seems like, small town. This is in the early 80s, because the Andy Griffith Show, I think, started back in the 70s. But it had its seasons into the 80s. And what it shows is, what I would take away, aside from the entertainment, is the relationship of law enforcement on a community, and the respect, the conditioning, respect, and fear of law enforcement in a community. And then also the grooming of the next generation of young white men for law enforcement. Yeah, Opie and, his father, who was the sheriff. And so You know, he looked up to his dad and everything, and you know, eventually, he would probably take on the same role as his father. So it was that grooming and respect for authority that they were trying to put in your face, because it was, you know, it was the town of Mayberry, I believe. That's what it was. It was really about putting law enforcement in front of you and showing this is power, this is how it should be. These are the people that the younger generation should revere and be like, all right? You had 90210, where you had the high class, ritzy, posh enclaves of society where you had these well-to-do teens, and this exists out there, you know, in these posh neighborhoods and suburbs that, hey, they just live how they want to live. Everything is afforded to them. You know, this is real. It's entertaining to us, but it's grooming that generation, showing them, like, look, you are the entitled generation. You have special privileges. You're not like all these other people. You are the elite. And as they grow, that's what would happen. One thing, though, I did, as you would see, though, is also the focus of the different problems that they would have, from addiction and things like that. Because even in all these rich enclaves, these kids, even though they have the money, the wealth, and everything afforded to them, they also, they suffer from so much other internal stress that they can't handle. They process it differently. You know, just because I may be under the same stress doesn't mean that I'm going to respond the same way. And so, you know, this is where you see, like, yeah, instances of suicide and things like that. So that's something else. Now, let's look at the contrast. Let's look at some of the black sitcoms. One of my favorite shows is Different Strokes. Different Strokes, what did we see? We had two young black males that, for whatever the reason, I can't remember if Arnold and Willis' parents died or whatever, they were not there, right? And because of that, they're adopted. And for them to have this good life and fair chance, fair shake at life, white daddy has to be there. A white male has to step in and be that parent, that authority figure, that person that has that vested interest. So then it puts that spin where, as black people, we're looking up to white people to take care of us, right? The absenteeism of black parents, whether from whatever, we don't know, whether it could be from premature death, it could be from incarceration, it could be from abandonment, dereliction of duty, whatever the case may be. The emphasis, black parent not there, whites have to come in and intervene, step in, and black children become the burden of society of the white male. Okay? Webster, Emmanuel Lewis, once again, where's the black parents? No black parents. So, you know, Webster's left orphaned, and Mr. Papadopoulos, George Papadopoulos, has to adopt Webster, take him in. I can't remember why Webster was an orphan, but he was an orphan. So once again, no black father, no black mother, no aunt or anybody to take care, and thus you have white families coming in, taking care of, you know, black children. This is what you saw. So from different strokes to Webster, there's an absenteeism of black parents and always the intervention and the saving of black children by white families, right? If we were to go to Benson, you think about it's white wealth, right, and black labor. You have this butler who is keeping everything up and running in this wealthy household. He knows all the intricacies, he knows all the secrets, he knows all the preferences, and he basically runs the whole household, but you know, he is that butler. He is their servant. So once again, it's having us serving white America, right? Not the opposite, but it's this image of, hey, we're serving white America, right? Sanford and Son. Okay, so now we're saying parents, X, Y, and Z. So now you have very funny. Sanford and Son's very funny. You know, you have Red Fox and everything. But it's, you know, this father and son team trying to make it and having this junkyard business, struggling, making ends meet. And but everything about it is struggle, it's ghetto, it's, you know, it's just making it by on poverty and all these poverty-tied relationships they have with other poor blacks, just making it. And that's what people are looking at. So we may look at it as entertainment, but who else is, how are other people interpreting what they see? Where they're looking like, yeah, you know, blacks are always just stuck in poverty, and you know, these are the people that we got to take care of, you know, these welfare type people, and, you know, always struggling, always begging, you know, these. So once again, comedy, but it's programming. Good times. So you had strong father, strong mother, you had children. But once again, it's that struggle. It's like, okay, we're going to position you in, as a black family, we're going to position you in poverty. We're going to position you in poverty and struggle. This is what you must know, and this is what it just has to be that way, you know. Which is why the Cosby Show was an alternative, which was good. It was an alternative spin on the conventional, traditional narrative. But it's always this struggle through poverty, right? 227. A lot of, you know, inner city still struggle, inner city relationships, black people just still trying to get by and make it. From that, you have neighbors that, you know, they have these funny relationships, but it's still this element of struggle. Black people in struggle, just barely getting by, you know. There's black love there between the husband and the wife, but it's still this struggle, always. It's always about that. Which in a way is true when it comes to being black in America, because we have that racial wealth gap. But it's that constant, we have to portray this. This is what we're going to portray and put it out. This is the only way you should see yourself. You should only see yourself as struggle. The last one, because I don't want to go too long, Family Matters. Good, you know, suburban neighborhood, nice family, loving husband, loving wife, nice children, dress well, decent house, decent neighborhood. But what was the thing here that you take away from this? And that is the character Steve Urkel. And Steve Urkel is supposed to be this very smart young man, but what do? What did they do? They put a stigma on black academia, black scholastic excellence. You're the nerd. You're not cool. You know, you're not welcome here. Beat it. Get out of here. You know. Whereas, like I told you, you had Doogie Howser, MD. He's praised. He's revered. He's lionized. He's held to high esteem for his scholastic and academic abilities. We have Steve Urkel. You have good scholastic and academic capabilities, but you the nerd. We're going to play you. We're going to denigrate you. We're going to downplay you. We're not going to hold you in high regard, and that's that. And then they make his character act uncool. You know, they make his character seem uncool. So you see that there. And it could go, from, everybody hates Chris. Well, why does everybody hate Chris? But anyway, that's kind of where I want to go in that. And that is to say, it's okay to enjoy entertainment, but at the same time, we must think about what is the other message that could possibly, I'm not saying the directors and programmers are intentionally doing it, wink, wink, but is it possible that another message is being sent on a lower level, subliminally, very subtly? So these are things we have to look out for, especially when we're talking about with our kids watching so many different programs. What is the undercurrent? What's the undertone that might be going on? So that's it. How the 80s programming may have programmed. Peace.